Hello ladies and gentlemen, Ecologies here, and welcome back to the 9.14 test server, and these are the HD models for the Japanese tanks. There are going to be 4 in this video, so sit back and relax and watch some Japanese fantastic magic. Here we are on Stalingrad with the Type 5 Cheu, a Japanese Tier 4 light tank. Medium tank, yeah. Light tank. Let's go over some trenches and let me be disappointed. Yep, I'm disappointed. I don't know why Wargaming does that. They just don't know how to do Japanese suspension, which is so upsetting. Like, I was so happy for the Japanese tanks to be finally implemented in HD. And then they screw up the suspension, which is so upsetting. Because if you look here, that's where the upsettingness goes. It happens here where the suspension does not work properly. See, it goes down and it stretches. It stretches, and that's annoying. That is one of the most annoyingest things ever in suspension. I hope they fix it eventually, but it's wargaming, so I doubt it. Which is so upsetting. But this thing is pretty quick. Oh, come on. Awesome, there we go. Oh, no. Okay. Got a nice idler wheel in the back here. Some return rollers. Got some nice suspension arms. See, what's supposed to work is it's supposed to go up and down with this arm. But it's also supposed to compress the spring. Like, it's like a 3-part system. Like, it's supposed to compress, raise, and turn. Like, it goes up, swings out, compresses, which is so intricate. I can see why it's hard for Wargaming to model, but it's also very pretty when it works correctly. It's quite upsetting that they don't model it correctly. Got some more nice road wheels. It's kind of upsetting the suspension doesn't work like it used to, or never used to work properly for Wargaming. Got nice return rollers. Let's look at that drive sprocket. Got a pretty drive sprocket. Every single teeth matches with the track, which is nice. That's a good plus. Side detail, there isn't really much. You got a tank bar right here. Got the jack. Got a pickaxe, a shovel. Other than that, there's not much detail. Not at all. Let's traverse this tank. Tank has been traversed. Oh no. Stop, stop, stop. Okay, good. Oh gosh. Now, I love Japanese tracks. I think that's a pretty track. Granted, I think the drive sprocket is kind of small. That seems small to me, but I love Japanese tracks. I like them a lot. It's so confusing. Well, you got a nice tow hook in the front. You got the gun, which is rifled. You got some hatches for the frontal transmission because it is a front transmission tank. You got a nice badge. You got a coax machine gun. You got 2 headlights here and there. And you got the driver's port, which is nice. On the front of the turret, you got a viewport, the gun, rivets all around the gun plate. Got a hatch for the coax machine gunner and probably the driver to get in and out. On top, you got the mounting for a machine gun. You have... I'm just watching that tank go in the background. Balls. You got some hatches for your commander and your gunner, loader. The commander's hatch is nice and small. 1 hatch on top, which is kind of nice. I'm still watching that tank destroyer in the background. It's quite funny to watch, actually. This thing has so much speed in it. It's crazy. Well, the side detail down here is pretty much the same as on the other side. Not much to see, really. A really, really bit plane here. You got the exhaust on this side. You got a viewport on the turret, the Japanese flag. And like I said, it's not much detailed on this side either than on the other side. I wonder who's still watching that tank destroyer. That's lovely. Well, the rear of the turret, you got a typical Japanese rear machine gun, because they like doing that to their tanks. You also got a hatch down here, I think. You also have a hatch in the rear for easy access. If your tank's on fire, you can easily jump out. The rear of the tank, you have some ventilation for the engine. Got another hatch down here for the engine. And you got a rear hook, just in case you get stuck and need pulling out. And you have a rear view light. The track looks fantastic. Like I said, I love Japanese track. And you got the exhaust, which looks fantastic. I can't complain about the tank except for the suspension. Excuse me. That's the only thing that lets down the Japanese tanks is the suspension. Like, if Wargaming accurately modeled in the suspension of the Japanese tanks, it would be perfect, but it's not, which is upsetting. And with that fire, it's called back to the garage. Here we are with the Chime, or Chime, and it's one of my favorite small Japanese medium tanks. When I was playing the Japanese medium tank tree, I always liked this thing. I loved this little medium tank. So with that being said, let's fire this gun. Ooh, small and pudgy. I love it. And let's go over this trench. Let's hope they get the suspension right. And they did not. Yay! I like this. I hate wargaming so much. Is it so hard to ask for real suspension for Japanese vehicles? Is it really hard? Because that's upsetting. Wargaming, because look at that. That's crap. That is crap. That is crap. That is crap. What's supposed to happen is this is supposed to go up with this sprocket and it's supposed to look all cool and stuff. But it's not looking all cool and stuff because Wargaming doesn't know how to model suspension from the Japanese. It's upsetting. You aggravate me, Wargaming. But let's look at the HD model in some more detail, shall we? As this T-34-100 is zooming by, Mr. Czechoslovakian bugle. Back up, back up, back up, back up, back up. Right. Oh, fudge. Alright, forwards. Back up. Oh, I can't move. Alright, there we go. So we got a nice dry idler wheel in the back. You got some nice road wheels, which look nice. You got this metal bit over some of the road wheels, which is nice. You got the drive sprocket, which looks pretty nice. Every single one of the track links are nicely nestled in between the drive sprocket, which is good. And what I'm saying about the suspension is that's supposed to go up, this is supposed to go up, that's supposed to compress into this big giant spring, which it doesn't do. It just stretches this metal, which is annoying. Well, other than that, it has some return rollers, which are nice and rubber. You got the small pudgy turret with a viewport and a small vision thing, or a pistol port. You got this overhang over here, which is nice. You got a storage box, another storage box. You got a tinker bar right here. You got a pickaxe, a shovel. It looks like a sledgehammer, which looks nice. Looks nice. You got rivets. I love rivets. Rivets are nice. There's rivets everywhere. Everywhere there's rivets. Must have those rivets. There we go. Gun faces forwards, please. And let's look at those pretty Japanese tracks. I like Japanese tracks. I love them to death. As we look here, we see all these rivet details here and there. You see the hook to hook on to things, so if it gets stuck, it has something to see. You got the viewports for the transmission, which is awesome. You got the Japanese star right here. You got the driver's port right here, which would have to be open if it wants to see out. Got some vision slits here and there. And you got the co-driver's coaxial Japanese Type 90 something machine gun, which looks fantastic. It has a spare horn, but no headlight. There is no headlight on this thing, which is upsetting. The gun does have rifling. Very nice rifling indeed for a small vehicle. I think that might be a hatch, but I'm not sure. I don't know what that is. There's a hatch right here for the co-driver to get in. On top of the turret, there is a... I don't know what that is. I was going to say a ventilation, but it's not a ventilation. You got a hook right here, and you got the commander's hatch right there. Well, the commander, the gunner, and everything else's hatch. Because they're the same person. Alright. Traverse that turret. Traverse that turret like it's your damn job. Alright. So there's not much detail on this side. You got the same amount of detail as the other side of the turret. The only difference is this side has a very nice looking exhaust system. You got the exhaust muffler, you got the exhaust, you got the piping that leads from the nice engine, which has these nice levers that cool down the engines, which is nice. Ah! Is it see-through though? No, it's not see-through. That's a shame. A lot of Japanese has a see-through grill over the exhaust, but not this one, which is kind of upsetting. It's kind of upsetting though. And then back here you got the idler wheels, which look kind of nice. You got the tension in place. You got some hooks. You got a rear tail light, so people can tell that you're backing up, which is nice. You got the nice exhaust. You got the jack to lift up the tank if it needs to replace a road wheel or something. And then you got this very big fish plate, which will help it going over trenches. You got some spare cable on the backing. You got some engine deck detail. You got a cover here, cover here, cover here, which is nice. This is all very nice. All in all, the detail on this tank is pretty good. You got nice rivet detail. You got nice detail all around. Like I said with the other Japanese tank, if the suspension was really good, then there would be no problem with this tank. Oh yeah. The rear of the turret has a door, by the way. I forgot to mention that. But like I said, if the suspension on the Japanese tanks were how they should be, then this tank would be fantastic. But since it's not, it's kind of a disappointment. That being said, that's it for this. Back to the garage. Here we are with the Chime, the Type 97 Chime, the Japanese, oopsie, the Japanese tank that really started the tanks off in Japan. Because this was one of the famous tanks that the Japanese built. It was one of the most popular tanks the Japanese built. So I'm not surprised to see that it's an HD model. Has a pretty nice gun, has a pretty nice chassis, one of the most innovative chassis the Japanese built, and it's stuck with the Japanese all the way up to the Chime, and it worked fine. So let's go over the trench. Let's go over the trench. Like other Japanese vehicles, it's much of a disappointment. Disappointment, I say. The engine sounds fantastic. I like the engine sound, but the suspension is upsetting. I really hope Wargaming fixes the suspension. Like, I can't complain about the suspension enough. Wargaming, make Japanese suspension more realistic. There we go. That's what I need. Oh, the Chibi's autoloader sounds fantastic. I wish I had ammo. I don't have ammo or I would shoot my gun, which is probably the saddest thing ever. I don't have ammo loaded in this gun. Okay. Okay. Alright, here we go. We got a nice idler wheel in the back. Got the suspension arms and linkage. Nicely designed road wheels, which is nice. The return rollers are nice as well. Got the nice suspension. Return rollers. Now let's take a look at that pretty drive sprocket. I like that nut, that hexagonal nut. You got the drive sprocket that matches nicely with the road wheels, which is nice. No side skirts, which is cool, I guess. The side detail on the thing, you got the shielding for the exhaust, which is cool. You got the Japanese styled jack, which will lift the tank up. You got a tanker bar right down here, which is useful. You got hatches around here, probably to put the oil and gas in. You got rivets. Rivets are nice. Got a grab iron right here to lift up that engine though. And the side of the turret is pretty bland, which is alright. Oh no. Alright. Traversing. Awesome. There we go. He has been traversed. Now, as we look at the track, pretty nice track. I like the design of Japanese track, like I keep saying. I think it's one of the best designs ever. As we look at the front, you got a tow bar right here, a tow hook, so you can get out of trouble. A lot of rivets down here, which I like. I love rivets. Then you get up here some more. Got more rivets around the transmission area. Got a spare track, which is nice. Got the viewports for the transmission and the stuff for to power the track. You got a nice driver's position with 2 slits on each side, and you got a coaxial machine gun, which is nice. And as you can see, it is rifled, which is nice. You can see there is the viewport for the gunner to look out. And the top of the turret, you can see it's all riveted here. And you got a commander's hatch, an antennae for the radio, and the hatch right there. All nice. Let's check out the other side. Awesome. Alright, so this side is pretty much the same as the other, maybe a little bit more bland because it doesn't have that jack. So the only thing to notice is there is a hatch on the turret, and you can see the hatch is better down here. Other than that, pretty bland. Pretty plain, I must say. Awesome. Look at, hear those engine noises are fantastic. Yeah, here we can see the track much better and the idler tension stuff. You can see the rear tow hooks, which are nice. You can see the rear reverse light and the other lights that are required for the rear end. You can also see that there are some tow hooks or cables in the back, some cabling. And you can see the twin exhausts. There's one out here, and there's one on the other side, which is pretty nice. And on the back, on the engine deck, you have a shovel and a pickaxe right here. And then we got some grab irons here and there, some places to put in some fuel, a hatch to visit the engine or the transmission or the radiator. As we go back a little bit further, you see a big hatch right here that would open up. Some hatches over here and here, and then you get to the rear turret where you have a big hatch right here for dumping out spent ammunition and maybe getting out in a hurry. And then you have the coax machine gun, which is very famous on Japanese low-tier tanks, which is quite nice. All in all, the detail is kind of small on these Japanese vehicles, but I don't mind. The only thing, like I say in every video, is the suspension. If the suspension was better, that would make me feel much more happy about these Japanese vehicles, but it's not, which is upsetting. With that being said, back to the garage, or next one, so to speak. Here we are with one of my favorite Japanese tanks. It's the Type 3 Chime. I like this vehicle. I like this vehicle a lot. Alright then. That guy sounds awesome. So what do I like about this? I like the gun, I like the shape of this tank, and let's go over some of the suspension, which I know I'm going to be disappointed because it's a Japanese tank, and The Japanese tanks, wargaming doesn't do the suspension right. And they didn't do it right. It's just upsetting. It's one of the most beautiful HD tanks that I've seen, but the suspension is not modeled correctly. Right here, it's not working, which is upsetting. Well, let's look at it in more detail. I love the gun. I love this tank. I really do. I want a Japanese tank in real life. Someone, buy me a Japanese tank. Right now. Please. Ah! Ah! Ow. That hurt. That's fine. I'm still good. So let's go over one of my favorite tanks in HD. Well, you got a nice either wheel in the back, like normal Japanese tanks, because they're always front drive sprocket. You got your road wheels, which is nice. Got pretty suspension gear that doesn't work because wargaming. Got nice return rollers, which is good. Let's take a closer look at the drive sprocket. Very nice drive sprocket. Every single sprocket matches with the track nicely, which is good. Let's go up a bit. You got a side viewport right here for the driver or the machine gunner to, shoot. You see a lot of rivet detail on the gun or place where the gun gets held, which is nice. You got a side door and a vision slit for the turret, which is nice. Must be able to see out the tank. And you got some detail back here. You got the jack to lift up the tank. You got a tanker bar down here. Got a shovel and a pickaxe, which is nice. And you got the very pretty exhaust cover that protects the exhaust from shells, I guess, which doesn't really work. Doesn't work at all. Now let's traverse tank. Now the Japanese tanks use diesel engines. Diesel engines are quite quiet, I guess. Twitchy. Well, as we zoom in a bit on the track, the track detail is pretty nice. I like the track on this tank. I think it's the best looking Japanese track on the tank so far out of all the Japanese tanks we've seen. Has a nice tow hook down here. 2 headlights up here for good vision at night. Not very useful because you get seen. Has nice rifling in the barrel, but it stops a little bit short from the outer barrel, which is nice. I like seeing that. Makes it unique. You got your traditional 2 hatches down here for the transmission of each drive sprocket, I guess, or maintenance of this area and the transmission. You got your coax machine gun and your driver's port, which is nice. Up top, you got your vision slit for the commander or the gunner to look out. You got a little small hatch up here. I don't know what for, but it's all riveted, which is nice. Got small hatches here and there. Probably to poke up binoculars. Then you got a hatch right here for the machine gunner. There would be a machine gun up here, which I think this also doubles as a radio, which is awesome that it's like dual purpose. And then you got a commander's hatch, which is nice and small, which vision slits all around. For 360 vision, which is awesome. Now to look at the other side of the tank. Not much detail. There is still a hatch on this side. You got another vision slit. Other than that, we have some external boxes and storage, which is nice. Same thing as the other side, just less detail. And we look at the rear. Look at the rear of the tank. Alright. And the rear is pretty much bland as well, but you get to see these nice tracks. I like the tracks on the Japanese vehicle, and this is why I like them. Look at that. It's so pretty. Like, if I can have anything hanging up on my wall, it would be like a couple Japanese track links, like 2 or 3 of them, just hanging on the wall for no reason. Other than that, we have a tail light so people can see in the rear. We got some tow hooks, just in case it needs to get towed. You got your track tensioning for your idler wheel. Nice rivets and bolts. Got two, I don't know what those are. Oh, okay, I know what this is. This is for if someone wants to attach a cable, they can spool a cable around this. Okay, I got that. You got two exhaust systems, one here, one there, pointing outwards. Then on the engine deck, you got a couple of hatches here. Here, you got one in the middle here. Got one big one here, and here, which is nice. And then on the rear of the turret, you got a very big hatch back here, so you can eject shells and easily get out of the turret if something's wrong with it. That being said, it's one of my favorite Japanese tanks that they HD'd yet. Granted, like every other Japanese vehicle that I looked at, I'm upset with the suspension. But I'm going to overlook the suspension problems on this tank because it's just, in my opinion, so beautiful. I am a big fan of Japanese armor, so this is really, really beautiful. And with that being said, ooh, that gun sound, I love it. That's it for this. Back to the garage. And we're back in the garage, so I can look at the tanks with the winter camo on. Because I think winter camo looks very nice on tanks. Especially the pure white. Because you can see the weathering detail on some of the tanks. Which I think is nice. This one is a small light scout tank. So it's not really going to have much weathering. Has some here and there around the turret. Some scratches. Some of the paint's been removed from the barrel. But other than that, it's pretty clean. Pretty clean exterior of a small scout tank. So, on to the next. Which is the Chime. One of the best looking suspensions I'd say there is. But of course, Wargaming had to mess it up like they usually do. Because this is supposed to go up. And then this is supposed to go up. And this is supposed to go in for the spring. Which is so annoying that they didn't do that properly. They just made that go up and down, which, as you can see, it's one piece of metal. One piece of metal does not make that wheel go up and down, which is so upsetting. Oh, Wargaming. Don't know how to do suspension. Not at all. Well, let's turn on the winter camo so I can look at some of the weather detail they put on this small Japanese tanks. A lot of weathering down on the lower plate. Some on the front by the transmission, or the hatches to view the clutch and stuff for the drive sprockets. Weathering around the machine gun and the driver's port. Scratches down the side. A lot of scratching detail on the skid plate, because that would help it go over trenches and stuff. Some scratches on the rear. Some weathering on the engine deck, which all looks pretty nice. More scratches down the side. The turret has some weathering around the commander's hatch, around the hatch in the rear. All in all, it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Next one, the Type 97 Cheu. Now, I already looked at this vehicle in the Chinese tech tree, but this is the Japanese tank, and it always will be a Japanese tank, because the Chinese captured some after the war, I think. Or during the war, they captured some. And they used it in their Chinese Revolution, so it's a perfect tank to put into the tech tree. So you have some weathering here and down here, around the rivets and the two hatches that are traditional on Japanese vehicles, on the machine gun and the driver's port. There's paint missing from the top of the barrel. Some weathering on the turret, which looks nice. Scratches down the side and on the muffler covers. Some weathering down here. Around. More around here, there, and there. Around there. And on this side, you got some more scratches. Just weathering around the hatches. So all in all, looks pretty good. And then we get to the Type 3 Cheu, one of my favorite Japanese tanks at this tier, as I just like the Cheu. It's a fantastic looking vehicle. Now let's look at the paint, because the paint's very useful. Let's see. Got some weathering down here. Got some weathering on top of the flat plate. Got weathering around the gun barrel, the tip of it, and a little bit down here. There's some scratches on the top of the turret. Some scratches and gouges down the side. The turret looks well used. Got some weathering around the door down here. Got some weathering down here, here, and here. The engine deck is well worn. There's weathering here around the hatches. Back of it scratched up. The door looking that it's been used. And you can see that the crew would hop from the engine deck to the top of the turret because there's weather marks here and there. The commander's hatch been used, and so has the hatch by here. And let's take a look at this side. You can see there's weathering here, scratches on the turret, scratches and gouges down the side. All in all, it's pretty nice. I like the track. That's one of the things that I like about the Japanese, is I love the way their tracks look. I do. And with that being said, that's it for the 9.14 test server. If there's anything new added, I will see if I can get the test server back up and running and review it. So that's the thing. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in more videos. Just remember to click the like button to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more 9.14 test server or test servers in the future, or just gameplay on my channel, because I do put gameplay on my channel of me just playing World of Tanks and just posting my good battles. So yay, you have something to watch. So yeah, thank you so much for watching again, and see ya. Bye bye.